Royal Triangle. The new Queen of England was only 25, young, brilliant, and a desirable match for nearly any European prince. Yet Elizabeth I made little effort to hide one clear preference at her court, Lord Robert Dudley. The question whispered in corridors and reported in diplomatic dispatches was simple and dangerous. Could the Queen ever marry the man she favored most? Despite the dark history of his family, both his father and his grandfather had been executed for treason. Robert Dudley's fortunes rose sharply with Elizabeth's accession on November 17, 1558. Born on the same day 25 years earlier, the two had known each other since childhood. During the reign of Elizabeth's half-sister, Queen Mary, Dudley even sold property to help support the princess when she was politically isolated. One of Elizabeth's earliest acts as queen was to appoint Dudley Master of the Horse, a powerful court position that placed him at her side in public and private life. When she rode through London 11 days later to take possession of the Tower of London, Dudley, tall and striking, rode with her, darkly handsome enough to inspire both admiration and resentment. Detractors sneered and nicknamed him the Gypsy, but Elizabeth did not waver. She loaded him with favors, grants of property, a license to export woolen goods duty-free, and the lieutenancy of the castle and forest of Windsor. She kept him close, praised his looks and intelligence, and defended him whenever critics dared to complain. When a list of ambassadors was proposed for foreign service, Elizabeth quickly crossed off Dudley's name. It was obvious she wanted him at court within reach. By spring, the Spanish ambassador was writing home that Dudley was so favored he did more or less what he wished, adding a line designed to sting. It was even said the Queen visited him in his chamber day and night. A queen who needed an heir for all the romance and gossip. Elizabeth's most urgent problem was political, marriage and succession. Her father, Henry VIII, had scandalized England and much of Europe with 6 marriages and a disputed line of inheritance. In the 11 years since Henry's death, England had been ruled by his frail son Edward VI, who died at 16, then by Mary, unpopular and childless, and now by Elizabeth, the daughter of Henry's doomed second queen, Anne Boleyn. European suitors appeared quickly, foreign princes and powerful dynastic options that promised alliances as well as risks. Yet some wondered whether Elizabeth might reject a foreign match and choose an English husband instead. And if she did, who could possibly compete with her favorite? The inconvenient Amy Robsart. There was one glaring obstacle to any match between Elizabeth and Dudley. Dudley was already married. 9 years earlier, just short of his 17th birthday, he had married Amy Robsart, the only child of a country gentleman and an heiress to considerable property. Elizabeth herself, then only a princess, had attended the wedding long before anyone imagined she would wear the crown. At first, the marriage seemed stable, but Dudley was drawn more and more to court life, and he spent longer stretches away while Amy remained in the country. No children were born of the union. By the time whispers at court described Dudley as the Queen's lover and perhaps even her future husband, Amy was living on an estate near Oxford, roughly 50 miles northwest of London. She and her servants occupied rooms in Cumnor Hall, a former monastery shared with other families. It was a quiet provincial place until the day it became the center of England's most poisonous rumor. A death on the staircase on Sunday, September 8, 1560, Cumnor Hall stirred with plans to attend a country fair in the nearby village of Abingdon. Lady Dudley insisted her servants take the day off and enjoy the festivities. She herself chose to stay behind in what would soon be a mostly empty house. When the servants returned that evening, they found a scene that froze the blood. Amy Dudley lay dead at the foot of the staircase, her neck broken, at the bottom of the stairs leading from her rooms to the main hall. Rumor, exile, and the inquest. The consequences were immediate. Ugly rumors surged through England, rumors that did not merely accuse Dudley of negligence but of murder. The Queen, exposed to scandal as well as politics, was forced to distance herself. Dudley was effectively banished from court while an investigation was carried out. I have no way to purge myself of the malicious talk that I know the wicked world will use, but one, Dudley wrote, which is the very plain truth to be known. But what was the truth? Elizabeth's great rival, Mary, Queen of Scots, was reported to have mocked her. The Queen of England is going to marry her horsekeeper who has killed his wife to make room for her. Elizabeth ordered the court into mourning. 2 weeks after Amy's death, she was buried following services in the royal chapel. Eventually, Dudley was cleared by the investigation and allowed to return to court, still the Queen's favorite, yet now carrying a shadow that would never fully lift. accident or foul play. So what happened at Cumnor Hall? Was Amy's death a tragic accident, or the result of something darker? History, like the contemporary inquest, has often tended to vindicate Dudley, though suspicion persisted for centuries. Amy was reportedly suffering from serious illness, and some believe she endured long pain and had spoken of wanting release from it. In advanced disease, weakness and vulnerability can increase, and a fall could prove fatal. A misstep on the stairs, a slip, a sudden collapse, any of these might explain the awful end. Yet to the public mind, the timing was simply too convenient. Amy's death removed the one legal barrier between queen and favorite precisely when their closeness had become impossible to ignore. Even if Dudley had done nothing, the scandal made one thing clear: marrying him would be politically explosive, a courtship that could never become a crown. With Amy gone, Elizabeth could have chosen marriage to Dudley, or she could continue the relationship without surrendering her independence. In the end, she chose what she always chose: control. A few years later, she elevated Dudley to Earl of Leicester, confirming his importance while keeping him firmly beneath her authority. When he tried to push his influence too far, she cut him down with a line that rang through the court like a verdict: "I will have here but one mistress and no master." Dudley remained devoted to Elizabeth for decades, serving her loyally even through moments of tension and disappointment. Elizabeth, meanwhile, kept England and Europe guessing about her intentions for most of her long reign. Even after the years when she could most easily have produced an heir, she continued to use marriage prospects as both diplomacy and theater. Toward the end of the century, she found a new favorite, the much younger Robert Devereux, Earl of Essex. But she would not marry him either. When Essex attempted to seize power, she had him arrested and executed, proof that, for Elizabeth, affection never outranked authority. The Virgin Queen died in 1603, unmarried and childless. The Tudor line ended with her, and the crown passed to the son of Mary, Queen of Scots. And Robert Dudley, once the man who seemed closest to becoming England's king, remained what he had always been, the greatest almost in Elizabeth's life, bound to her by intimacy, ambition, and a tragedy that ensured the romance could never become a marriage.